I ruined everything in 17 minutes. That's how long it took to destroy a marriage I'd spent 12 years building, a family I loved more than my own life, and the man I'd sworn before God and everyone we knew that I would never betray. 17 minutes in a hotel room with someone whose last name I can barely remember now, and I've been trying to undo it ever since, knowing full well that some things, once broken, can never be made whole again. My name is Sarah, and I need to tell you this story because it's the only way I know how to make sense of what I did, what I lost, and what I'm still fighting for. I'm 43 now, sitting in the kitchen of a house that feels too big and too quiet, watching the sun come up over a yard where my children used to play. They're grown now, or nearly there, and the life I once had exists only in photographs and the relentless loop of memory that plays in my head every single day. It started, I suppose, the way these things always start, slowly, then all at once. Not with a grand plan or even a conscious decision, but with a series of small compromises, tiny justifications, and a loneliness I didn't even realize had taken root inside me, until someone noticed it and offered me something that felt like warmth. David and I met in college. He was studying engineering, I was in education, and we collided, literally, in the campus library when I backed into him with a cart full of books. He helped me pick them up, made a joke about me clearly being a dangerous woman, and asked if I'd let him buy me coffee as compensation for the bruise forming on his shin. I said yes. That was 23 years ago. We built a good life, a real life. We bought our first house when I was pregnant with Emma, our daughter. 2 years later came Jake. David worked long hours at an engineering firm, climbing his way up, and I taught second grade, which meant I was home by 4 most days. We had family dinners. We went to soccer games and piano recitals. We took one big vacation every summer and smaller trips when we could. On paper, we were perfect. Everyone said so. But here's what nobody tells you about marriage. It's not the big explosions that kill it. It's the slow erosion, the daily wearing away of connection when you're both too tired to notice. David came home exhausted every night, and I was exhausted from managing the kids and the house and my classroom. We'd have dinner, help with homework, get the kids to bed, and then collapse in front of the television, too drained to really talk. Sex became occasional, then rare, then something we'd joke about. Remember when we used to do that? Before falling asleep. I didn't think anything was wrong. I thought this was just what happened. This was marriage, adult life, responsibility. I loved David, of course I did. He was a good man, a good father. He provided for us, never raised his voice, never forgot a birthday. If the spark had dimmed, well, that was normal, wasn't it? That's what everyone said. I met James at a teaching conference in Chicago. It was March, 11 years into my marriage. Emma was 9, Jake was 7, and David had encouraged me to go, said I needed a break, needed to do something for myself. The irony of that still cuts. James taught high school English in a suburb about 40 miles from where we lived. He was funny in his session about engaging reluctant readers, self-deprecating and warm, and when I asked a question, he remembered it and found me later during the lunch break. We sat together. We talked about teaching, about books, about the frustrations of standardized testing, and the moments when you actually reach a kid and it all feels worth it. It was easy, natural. Nothing happened in Chicago. We exchanged email addresses, professional courtesy, and I went home to my life. David picked me up from the airport, asked how it went, and I told him about the sessions I'd attended and the techniques I wanted to try in my classroom. I didn't mention James. There was nothing to mention. But then James emailed, just a quick note, something about a book recommendation, and I wrote back. Then he sent an article about teaching strategies, and I responded with one I'd found. The emails were innocent, professional, until gradually they weren't. It's hard to pinpoint exactly when the shift happened, when "Have you tried this technique with your struggling readers?" became "How was your day?" and then "I was thinking about you." But it did, and I didn't stop it. I should have. God knows I should have. But I didn't. James listened. That's what I told myself. He listened when I talked about my students, about the politics of the school district, about my worries for Emma, who was struggling with anxiety, and Jake, who was being bullied. David listened too, of course he did. But he was distracted, tired, his mind always halfway at work. James gave me his full attention. He asked questions. He remembered details from previous conversations. He made me feel seen in a way I hadn't felt in years. The emails turned into texts. The texts became phone calls late at night after David was asleep, whispered conversations in my car during my prep period. We never crossed a line. We never said we were doing anything wrong, but we both knew. Of course we knew. "I think about you constantly," he texted one night. I stared at those words on my phone screen for a full minute before I responded. I could have ended it right there. I could have said, "This isn't appropriate. I'm married. This has to stop." Instead, I wrote back, "Me too." We met for coffee 6 weeks after the conference. Just coffee, we said. Just two friends, two teachers, catching up. We chose a place halfway between our towns, somewhere neither of us would likely run into anyone we knew. We sat for 3 hours. We didn't touch, not beyond a brief hug, hello, and goodbye, but the air between us was electric. I drove home with my hands shaking on the wheel. "How was your day?" David asked when I got home. "Fine," I said. "Just errands." That was the first lie. It wouldn't be the last. James and I met twice more over the next month. Coffee again, then lunch. We talked about everything, our childhoods, our dreams, the people we'd been before marriage and mortgages and the weight of adult responsibility. He told me his marriage was struggling, that he and his wife had grown apart, that they were staying together for their kids but barely spoke anymore. I told him things I'd never said out loud, not even to myself. How lonely I felt, how invisible, how I couldn't remember the last time David had really looked at me, really seen me. "You're extraordinary," James said. And I believed him because I wanted so desperately to believe him. I knew what was happening. I'm not stupid, and I'm not going to pretend I was swept away by forces beyond my control. I made choices. Every text, every secret meeting, every lie to David, those were choices. I chose to keep going because it felt good to feel wanted, to feel alive, to feel like more than just someone's mother and someone's wife and someone's employee. We decided to meet at a hotel. I'm not going to dress it up or make excuses. We both knew what we were doing, what we were about to do, and we did it anyway. James booked a room at a mid-range hotel off the highway, the kind of place business travelers use. I told David I was going to a teacher development workshop for the afternoon. He kissed me goodbye and told me to have a good time. I remember every detail of that drive. The weather was overcast, threatening rain. I had talk radio on but couldn't focus on anything being said. My hands kept gripping and re-gripping the steering wheel. 3 times I almost turned around. 3 times I kept driving. James was already there when I arrived. He'd checked in, had the key card. We met in the lobby and I followed him to the elevator. Neither of us spoke. The hallway was silent except for the sound of our footsteps on the industrial carpet. He opened the door and I walked in. The room was generic. Queen bed, desk, television, bathroom visible through a partially open door. Heavy curtains, beige walls, that particular smell all hotel rooms have. We stood there facing each other and I saw my reflection in the mirror over the desk. I looked scared. I was scared. "We don't have to do this," James said. "I know," but I didn't leave. I stepped forward and he kissed me, and we ended up on that bed, and for 17 minutes I forgot about everything else. Forgot about David, about my children, about my vows, about the person I'd always believed myself to be. For 17 minutes, I was just a woman who was wanted, who was desired, who existed independent of all the roles I played. And then it was over. We lay there in the sudden silence, not touching anymore. And reality crashed back in like a physical force. I felt sick. The room felt too small, too hot, suffocating. I couldn't look at James. I got up, got dressed as quickly as I could, my hands fumbling with buttons and zippers. "Sarah," he started. "Don't," I said, "please don't." I left without another word, practically ran to my car. I sat in the driver's seat shaking, crying, unable to turn the key. What had I done? What the hell had I done? I drove home in a daze. I stopped twice to pull over and cry. I called my best friend Lisa but hung up before she answered because what could I possibly say? I thought about driving past my house and just keeping going, disappearing, starting over somewhere no one knew me. But I didn't. I went home. David was in the garage working on something when I pulled in. Emma was at a friend's house. Jake was in his room playing video games. Normal life, continuing on, oblivious to the bomb I'd just detonated in the center of it. "Hey, how was the workshop?" David called out. I opened my mouth, and the lie came out automatically. "Good, really good, learned a lot." He smiled, kissed my forehead. "That's great, babe, I'm glad you went." I excused myself, said I needed to shower. I stood under the hot water until it ran cold, scrubbing my skin until it hurt, as if I could wash away what I'd done. I couldn't. The guilt sat in my chest like a stone. I told myself that night that I would never do it again. It was a mistake, a terrible mistake, but it was done and I would learn to live with it. I wouldn't tell David. What good would that do? It would only hurt him, destroy our family, and for what? To make myself feel better? That seemed selfish. I would carry this burden alone. I would be a better wife, a better person. I would make it up to him somehow without him ever knowing there was anything to make up for. James texted that night. "We need to talk." I turned off my phone. He emailed the next day. I deleted it without reading. He called from a number I didn't recognize. I answered thinking it was a parent, and his voice sent ice through my veins. "Sarah, please don't do this. We need to talk about what happened." "There's nothing to talk about," I said quietly, walking outside so David wouldn't hear. "It was a mistake. It never should have happened. I can't do this to my family." "I know," he said. "I feel the same way. I needed to hear your voice, to make sure you're okay." "I'm not okay," I told him. "I'm so far from okay, I can't even see it from here. But I have to be. For my kids, for David. This ends now." "Okay," he said after a long pause. "Okay. I'm sorry, Sarah, for everything." "Me too." I hung up and blocked his number. I deleted every email, every text. I threw myself into my family with a fervor that must have seemed strange, but no one questioned. I cooked elaborate dinners. I initiated sex with David, even though guilt made me want to crawl out of my skin every time he touched me. I volunteered for every school event, every soccer game, every opportunity to be the perfect mother, the perfect wife. David noticed the change. "You seem different lately," he said one night as we were getting ready for bed. "Good different. Happy." The word was a knife. "I'm just trying to appreciate what we have," I said. "Life's short, you know." He pulled me into a hug. "I love you, Sarah. I don't say it enough, but I do. You're the best thing that ever happened to me." I cried into his shoulder, and he thought they were happy tears. I thought I could bury it. I thought time would make it fade, would make the guilt less sharp, would let me forgive myself. But it didn't work that way. The secret grew instead of shrinking. It was there in every conversation, every touch, every time David said he trusted me, every time Emma told me I was the best mom ever. I couldn't escape it. 6 months after the hotel room, I started having panic attacks. They came out of nowhere. I'd be teaching and suddenly couldn't breathe, or I'd be making dinner and the room would start spinning. I told David it was stress, maybe early menopause. I saw a doctor who prescribed anxiety medication. I took it religiously, like it could medicate away my guilt. A year passed, then 2. The affair, that 17 minutes, took on an outsized presence in my life. It became the defining fact of my existence, the lens through which I saw everything. I'd look at David and think, "You don't really know me. You love someone who doesn't exist anymore." I'd look at my children and think, "I don't deserve you. If you knew what I'd done, you'd hate me." I became hypervigilant about David's fidelity, which I realize now was projection. Every late night at work, every female name mentioned, sent my mind spinning. I checked his phone, his email, his credit card statements. He never gave me a single reason to worry. He was faithful. He was loyal. He was everything I wasn't. The worst part wasn't the fear of being caught. It was the knowledge that I'd become someone I despised. I'd always been so sure of my moral compass, so confident in who I was. I was a good person. I didn't lie, I didn't cheat, I valued integrity above almost anything else. And in 17 minutes, I'd proven all of that was conditional. That when pushed in the right way, I was capable of anything. I thought about confessing 1,000 times. I'd scripted in my head late at night when I couldn't sleep. David, I need to tell you something. I made a terrible mistake. It meant nothing, but it happened, and you deserve to know. But I never did it. I told myself it was to protect him, to protect our family, but really, I was protecting myself. I was a coward. Emma graduated from high school. Jake started driving. David got promoted to senior engineer. We went on our annual vacations. Hawaii one year, the Grand Canyon the next. We celebrated anniversaries and birthdays. We looked, from the outside, like the same happy family we'd always been. And maybe to everyone else, we were. But I knew the truth. I was performing my life instead of living it. Then, 4 years after the affair, something shifted. We were at Emma's college orientation, David and I, walking around campus while she attended a session with other incoming freshmen. It was a beautiful late summer day, and we stopped for coffee at a little cafe near the quad. "Can you believe our baby's going to college?" David said, looking out at the students walking by. "No," I said honestly. "It feels like yesterday we were bringing her home from the hospital. Time moves too fast." He reached across the table and took my hand. "I want to make a deal with you." "A deal?" "Yeah. We've spent the last 18 years putting the kids first, which is how it should be. But now Emma's going to be here, and Jake's got 2 more years, and then it's going to be just us again. I don't want to be strangers when that happens. I want to reconnect. Really reconnect. What do you say? Can we try? Weekly date nights, weekend trips, actually talking to each other again?" He looked so hopeful, so earnest. And the guilt that had been my constant companion for 4 years rose up like a tidal wave. I opened my mouth to tell him everything. The conference, James, the hotel room, all of it. The words were right there, fighting to get out. "Sarah, you okay?" I stopped, looked at his face, at the man I'd loved for more than 20 years. "Yes, I'd like that. I'd really like that." "Good," he said, smiling. "It's a date then. Every Friday night. Just you and me." And he kept that promise. Every Friday night for the next 2 years, we went out. Sometimes dinner, sometimes a movie, sometimes just a walk through the park near our house. We talked, really talked, in a way we hadn't in years. He told me about his work, his frustrations, his dreams for what he wanted to do when he retired. I told him about my students, about the new teacher I was mentoring, about the book club I'd joined. But I never told him about James, about those 17 minutes. Because how do you tell someone you love that you betrayed them 4 years ago? What would be the point except to transfer the burden of pain from me to him? Jake graduated. Emma came home for the summers, but less and less as she got involved in internships and study abroad. The house got quieter. David and I adjusted to being a couple again instead of parents, and it was strange and wonderful and terrifying. Some days I thought this was my chance for redemption, that if I could be a perfect wife from here on out, maybe I could somehow balance the scales. Other days I knew that was magical thinking. There is no statute of limitations on betrayal. Then, 7 years after the affair, my past walked back into my present. I was at a retirement party for a colleague, a huge gathering with teachers from all over the county. David came with me. We were standing by the refreshment table when a voice said, "Sarah? Sarah Mitchell?" I turned around, and there was James. He looked older. We all did. There were lines around his eyes that hadn't been there before, and his hair had more gray. But it was unmistakably him. "James," I said, my voice strangled. "Hi, this is my husband, David." David extended his hand, friendly, unsuspecting. "Nice to meet you. You teach with Sarah?" "We met at a conference years ago," James said, shaking his hand. "Different districts, but we crossed paths a few times professionally." "Small world," David said cheerfully. "It really is." James's eyes met mine, and I saw the question there. The acknowledgement, the shared secret. "If you'll excuse me," I said, "I need to run to the restroom." I locked myself in a stall and tried to breathe. He was here. After 7 years of carefully constructed normalcy, he was standing 30 feet away talking to my husband. I wanted to run. I wanted to scream. I did neither. I splashed cold water on my face, fixed my lipstick with shaking hands, and walked back out. James was gone when I returned. David was chatting with another teacher, oblivious. "You okay?" he asked when he saw me. "You look pale." "Headache," I said. "Would you mind if we left a little early?" "Of course not. Let me just say goodbye to Mike." As David walked away, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Against every instinct, I looked. "We should talk. Please. I'm not trying to cause problems. There are things you should know. James." I deleted the message immediately. Then I blocked the number. But that night, lying next to David in the dark, I couldn't stop thinking about it. What things? Why now, after 7 years? The answer came in the mail 2 weeks later. A letter, handwritten, no return address. "Dear Sarah, I know I have no right to contact you. I know I promised 7 years ago that I would leave you alone, and I've kept that promise until now. But I'm writing because I'm dying. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer. The doctors give me 6 months, maybe less. I'm not telling you this to gain sympathy or to burden you. I'm telling you because it's changed my perspective on a lot of things, including what happened between us. I've spent the last 7 years carrying guilt and regret about that day. Not because I didn't care about you. I did, more than was smart or appropriate, but because I helped you do something that I could see was destroying you, even as it was happening. I've made peace with most of my mistakes. I've told my wife everything, and we're working through it in the time I have left. But I keep thinking about you and hoping you found peace too, hoping that the guilt I saw in your eyes that day didn't poison the rest of your life. You don't owe me anything, not even a response to this letter. I just wanted you to know that I'm sorry for starting something I shouldn't have started, for not being strong enough to stop before we crossed the line, for not making it clear that one mistake doesn't define you forever. I hope you're happy, Sarah. I hope you've forgiven yourself, and I hope, if you haven't already, that you'll find a way to tell your husband, not for him, but for you. Secrets like ours, they're acid. They eat away at everything good until nothing's left but the lies. You were always stronger than you gave yourself credit for. Be strong enough to be honest. Take care, James. I read the letter 3 times, each reading hitting me differently. First shock, then sorrow, then something like clarity. He was dying, and he'd spent his final months making peace with his mistakes. And what had I done? I'd spent 7 years running from mine. I kept the letter in my purse for a week, pulling it out at stoplights and in parking lots, reading it until I had it memorized. Secrets like ours, they're acid. He was right. I'd known it all along, but I'd been too afraid to admit it. David noticed something was wrong, of course he did. "Sarah, what's going on? You've been distant for days." "Nothing," I said automatically, then stopped. "Actually, no, not nothing. Can we talk? Really talk?" We sat down at the kitchen table, the same table where we'd had 1,000 meals and conversations and arguments, where we'd helped kids with homework and made plans and built our life. And I told him everything. I told him about the conference, about James, about the emails and texts and phone calls, about feeling lonely and invisible and wanting to feel seen, about the coffee dates, the lunch, the hotel room, about 17 minutes that I'd spent 7 years trying to undo, about the guilt that had colored every day since, about the letter I'd received. David listened without interrupting, his face going through a progression I'll never forget. Confusion, understanding, hurt, anger, devastation. When I finished, silence filled the kitchen like smoke. 7 years, he finally said. His voice was flat. "You've been lying to me for 7 years." "Yes. And you never would have told me if this guy hadn't sent you a letter." I wanted to say that wasn't true, but we both knew it was. "Probably not." "Why?" The word was a cry. "Why are you telling me now? What am I supposed to do with this?" "I don't know. I said honestly. I can't carry it alone anymore. I'm tired, David. I'm so tired of pretending. So you're making me carry it instead? No. Yes. I'm asking you to share it with me. I'm asking you to decide what happens next because I can't decide for you anymore. I've stolen enough of your choices. He stood up, pushed his chair back so hard it fell over. I need to leave. I need to not be here right now. Okay. Don't. He turned back, his eyes red. Don't follow me. Don't call. Just let me process this. He grabbed his keys and left. I heard his car start, heard him drive away, and then I was alone in the house that suddenly felt like a mausoleum. I'd done it. I'd told him, and I had no idea if he would ever come back. He didn't come home that night, or the next. He answered my text with single words. Fine, okay, need time, but wouldn't talk to me. On the third day he came home, but he was different, distant. He slept in the guest room. He was polite but cold, and somehow that was worse than yelling. I need you to answer some questions, he said finally, a week after my confession. Anything. Did you love him? No. I cared about him, but I didn't love him. I was confused and lonely, and I made a terrible choice, but I never loved him. Did you ever think about leaving me for him? No, never, not once. Have there been others? God, no, just that one time, just him. Are you still in contact with him? No, I haven't spoken to him in 7 years. The letter was the first contact. Do you still think about him? I think about what I did, about the mistake, but not about him specifically. Not in the way you're asking. He nodded slowly, processing. I loved you with everything I had, Sarah. Everything. And you threw it away for a stranger. I know. Do you? Do you have any idea what this feels like? To find out that the person you trusted most in the world betrayed you, and then looked you in the eyes every day for 7 years and lied. No, I whispered. I can't imagine. I keep replaying our life since then. Every time we made love, every time I told you I loved you, every anniversary, every vacation. Were you thinking about him? Were you comparing us? No, I was thinking about you. I was trying to be worthy of you again, even though I knew I wasn't. That's not how it works, Sarah. You don't get to cheat and then unilaterally decide you've done enough penance. I should have had a choice. You're right, you should have. I was selfish and cowardly, and I'm so sorry. Sorry doesn't fix this. I know. We sat in silence. Then David said the words I'd been dreading and expecting in equal measure. I want a divorce. The words hit like a physical blow, even though I knew they were coming. Okay. Okay? That's it? What do you want me to say? That I'll fight you on it? You have every right to leave. Every right to hate me. I destroyed your trust. I destroyed us. I understand. God, Sarah, don't you get it? I don't want to divorce you. I want to go back to before you told me, when I was happy and ignorant and in love with someone who I thought loved me back. I do love you. I've always loved you, but not enough. Not in the right way. Not the way you deserved. He stood up. I'm going to stay at Mike's for a while. I need space to think. We'll tell the kids. I don't know what we'll tell the kids. The truth, I said, or as much of it as they need to know. That their mother is a liar and a cheater? The words stung, but I didn't flinch. That their parents are going through a difficult time and need some space. He left again. This time felt more permanent. I called Emma that night. She was at a friend's place in the city. Mom, it's late. Is everything okay? Your dad and I are separating. Silence. Then, what? Why? What happened? It's complicated, honey. We've grown apart. We need some time. This doesn't make sense. You guys seemed fine at Christmas. Did he cheat? The assumption that it must be him twisted something in my chest. No. Your father has been faithful and wonderful. This is my fault. What did you do? I made a mistake. A long time ago. And I waited too long to tell him about it. How long ago? 7 years. 7? Mom, what are you talking about? I'm not going to give you details, Em. That's between your father and me. I just wanted you to know what's happening. Jake, too. I'm calling him next. Is Dad okay? No. He's hurt and angry, and he has every right to be. Are you okay? The question undid me. No, baby, I'm not. But I will be. We both will be, eventually. The conversation with Jake went similarly, though he got angry in a way Emma hadn't. "This is bullshit, Mom. You guys can't just throw away 23 years because of some old mistake." "It's not that simple." "It is that simple. People make mistakes. People forgive each other. That's what marriage is. Your father gets to decide if he can forgive me. I can't make that choice for him." "So you're just giving up?" "I'm respecting his decision." "This is so messed up." "I know. I'm sorry." The weeks that followed were the hardest of my life. David filed for divorce. We had to sit down with lawyers and divide up a life we'd built together. Who got what furniture, what happened to the house, how we'd split retirement accounts and savings. Every conversation was agony. Every decision felt like another ending. Our friends didn't know what to do. Most people assumed there was someone else, and they assumed it was David. Because why else would a long, stable marriage suddenly end? I let them think it. I deserved the looks of pity. David deserved the support. Lisa was the only one I told the truth. "Oh, Sarah," she said when I finally broke down and confessed everything. We were in my kitchen, the same kitchen where I'd told David. "Why didn't you tell me back when it happened?" "Because I was ashamed, because I thought I could handle it alone, because I'm an idiot." "You're not an idiot. You're human. You made a mistake that cost me my marriage." Maybe. Or maybe the mistake was keeping it secret for 7 years. Maybe if you'd told David right away, you could have worked through it. Maybe. Probably. But I can't go back. "No," she agreed. "You can't." The divorce was finalized 4 months after I told David the truth. We were civilized about it, even kind to each other in that distant way of people who used to be intimate and now are not. We split everything fairly. I kept the house, and he took most of the savings. The kids were adults, so there was no custody to fight over. Just 2 devastated people trying to figure out how to be separate again after 2 decades of being together. The day the divorce was final, I sat in my lawyer's office and signed my name to documents that officially ended my marriage. Then, I went home to my 2-big house and sat in the silence and cried until I had nothing left. David started dating 6 months later. Emma told me, trying to be tactful about it. "Her name's Beth. She's a widow. Someone from his office. He seems happy, Mom." "Good," I said, and meant it. "He deserves to be happy." "Are you dating?" "No." "Mom, you can't just be alone forever." "I'm not alone. I have you and Jake. I have friends. I have my students. You know what I mean." "I'm not ready, Em. Maybe I never will be. And that's okay." But the truth was, I couldn't imagine dating. Couldn't imagine opening myself up to someone new, building trust, and then having to tell them about what I'd done. Who would want damaged goods? Who would want someone who'd proven themselves capable of betrayal? James died 8 months after sending me the letter. I found out through an online obituary while absently Googling his name one sleepless night. There was a photo, him smiling, healthy looking, probably taken before the diagnosis. The obituary listed his wife, his 2 children, his career achievements. No mention of affairs or mistakes or regrets. Just a life, condensed to a few paragraphs. I sent flowers to the funeral home with a card that said simply, "Peace at last." I didn't sign it. I hoped somehow he would know. A year passed. Then 2. I threw myself into teaching with renewed intensity. I started a mentor program for at-risk students. I volunteered at a local literacy nonprofit. I took up pottery, something I'd always wanted to try. I went to therapy every week, working through the guilt and shame and self-hatred that had defined me for so long. "You've punished yourself enough," my therapist said during one session. "At some point, you have to forgive yourself." "How?" I asked. "How do I forgive something unforgivable?" "By recognizing that you're human, that you made a terrible mistake, but that mistake doesn't have to be the sum total of who you are. It destroyed my family. It ended your marriage. Your family, your kids, their relationship with you and David, that's still intact. Damaged, yes, but intact. And you've been honest. Finally, that counts for something." Does it? I think so. Truth is its own kind of redemption. I wanted to believe her. David got engaged 3 years after our divorce. He told me himself, called me one evening to let me know before Emma or Jake could. I wanted you to hear it from me. Beth and I are getting married. Congratulations, I said. I mean that, David. I'm happy for you. Thank you. A pause. Are you doing okay, Sarah? Yeah, I am actually. Or I'm learning to be anyway. Good. That's good. I never wanted you to be miserable, you know. I was just too hurt to stay. I know. I understood then, and I understand now. You made the right choice. Did I? His voice was odd. Some days I wonder. Some days I think about what we had, before everything, and I wonder if we could have worked through it if I'd been stronger. You were plenty strong, and some things can't be worked through. Some breaks are too clean. Maybe. Another pause. I don't hate you, Sarah. I want you to know that. I did, for a while, but I don't anymore. I grieve what we could have been. Me too, I whispered. Take care of yourself. You too. Be happy, David. You deserve it. After we hung up, I sat with the phone in my hand and realized something had shifted. The conversation hadn't hurt the way I'd expected it to. I was genuinely happy for him. And somehow, in that happiness for his new beginning, I found the first glimmer of forgiveness for myself. That night, I pulled out an old photo album. Pictures of David and me through the years, our wedding, Emma's birth, Jake's first birthday, countless vacations and holidays and ordinary moments that had felt unremarkable at the time, but now seemed precious. I looked at those photos and saw two people who'd loved each other, who'd built something real, who'd been happy. The affair didn't erase that. It ended it, yes, but it didn't retroactively destroy every good moment that had come before. I also saw myself in those photos, younger, lighter, unaware of the mistake that was coming. And I felt, for the first time, something like compassion for that woman. She'd been lonely and tired and lost, and she'd made a terrible choice. But she'd also been a good mother, a dedicated teacher, a loyal friend. She'd been more than her worst moment, even if she couldn't see it at the time. I'm 43 now, as I said at the beginning. It's been 4 years since I told David the truth. 4 years since our marriage ended. 11 years since those 17 minutes that I thought would destroy me. And here's what I've learned. You can't undo the past. God knows I've tried. I've spent over a decade trying to balance some cosmic scale, trying to earn back what I threw away. But it doesn't work like that. Some things once broken stay broken. The marriage I had with David is gone, and no amount of regret or atonement will bring it back. But that doesn't mean life is over. It doesn't mean redemption is impossible. It just means redemption looks different than I thought it would. I'm a better person now than I was 11 years ago. Not because I've erased my mistake, but because I've faced it. I've sat with the discomfort of who I was capable of being. I've told the truth, finally, even though it cost me everything. And I've learned to live with the consequences of my choices instead of running from them. I'm also a better teacher. I'm more compassionate with my students, especially the ones who mess up, who make bad choices, who disappoint themselves. I understand now that people are complex, that good people can do bad things, that one mistake doesn't have to define an entire life. Emma and Jake have forgiven me, mostly. It took time and some hard conversations, but we're in a good place now. They know I'm not perfect, that their father wasn't the villain, that sometimes love isn't enough. Those are hard lessons, but maybe not bad ones to learn before building their own relationships. And David? We're friendly now, in a way we couldn't have been right after the divorce. We see each other at family events. We can have a conversation without pain clouding everything. He married Beth last fall, and I went to the wedding because Emma asked me to, because it was important to her. It was strange and sad and oddly beautiful, watching him pledge himself to someone new. He looked happy. I hope he is. As for me, I'm learning to be alone without being lonely. I'm learning that I can be whole without someone else completing me. I'm learning, slowly, to forgive myself. Not because what I did was okay. It wasn't, and it never will be, but because holding on to that guilt forever serves no one. Not me, not David, not my kids. I got a letter last week from David, which surprised me. He's never been much for writing. It was short. Sarah, I've been thinking a lot lately about everything that happened. About us. About the end. And I wanted to say something I should have said a long time ago. Thank you for telling me the truth. I know it would have been easier to keep lying. I know you could have taken that secret to your grave. And part of me wishes you had, because then I'd still be happy and ignorant. But that wouldn't have been real. And you gave me the chance to build something real with Beth. Something built on actual truth instead of careful omission. I couldn't have done that if I was still living in a fantasy version of our marriage. I also wanted to say that I'm sorry too. For leaving so quickly. For not trying to work through it. For filing for divorce before we'd even tried counseling. I was hurt. And I reacted from that hurt. And maybe that was fair. But maybe it wasn't the only option. I don't think we would have made it either way, honestly. We'd grown into different people, even before the affair. But I wish I'd been able to see your confession for what it was, an act of courage, however overdue. You could have kept hurting me with lies. Instead, you stopped. That took strength. I see that now. I hope you're well. I hope you're happy. I hope you found a way to forgive yourself, because I've forgiven you. It took a while, but I have. We were good together once. We made 2 incredible kids. We had a real life. The ending doesn't erase that. Take care, David. I cried when I read it. Not sad tears exactly, but tears of release. Tears that said, I'm not the villain. I'm not the hero. I'm just human, flawed and trying, and that's okay. That has to be okay. So here I am, in this too big house that's slowly becoming mine instead of ours. Here I am with a life that looks nothing like I planned, but is somehow still worth living. Here I am, carrying the weight of my mistakes, but no longer crushed by them. I cheated once. 17 minutes that cascaded into years of lies and guilt and loss. I spent a decade trying to undo it, trying to rewrite the past, trying to be perfect enough to somehow earn back what I'd destroyed. But you can't undo the past. You can only face it, learn from it, and build something new from the wreckage. I'm still building. Some days are harder than others. Some days I wake up and the first thought is still, you ruined everything. But more and more, the first thought is, you survived. You told the truth. You're still here. And maybe that's enough. Maybe being here, being honest, being willing to keep trying even after failure, maybe that's the only redemption that matters. I don't know if I'll fall in love again. I don't know if I'll ever trust myself enough to be that vulnerable with another person. I don't know what the rest of my life looks like. But I know I'm done running from my past. I know I've stopped trying to be perfect and started trying to be real. I know I've learned the difference between guilt that motivates change and guilt that paralyzes. And I know that 17 minutes doesn't have to define 50 years. I'm 43. I made a terrible mistake. I lost my marriage, damaged my family, and spent a decade in self-imposed purgatory. But I'm still here, still teaching, still loving my kids, still finding small moments of joy in pottery class and book club and coffee with Lisa. Still becoming someone I can live with, if not someone I'm proud of. Not yet. Maybe someday. That's my story. It's not inspiring. It's not redemptive in the way people want stories to be. There's no grand reunion, no third act turnaround where love conquers all. Just one woman who betrayed someone she loved, told the truth too late, and is trying to figure out how to live with the consequences.